Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the KASH Talk podcast. It's your girl, Kiana, aka KASH.
Yeah, and it's your boy, Ham Van Dam, aka me. Ha 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 ha.
Very cringe, but
Semi-cringe. But welcome back, guys. Thank you once again for tuning in to the KASH Talk pod, presented by Smooth Family Entertainment and the Smooth Family Network. And week 9. Week 9.
Week 9, episode 9.
Episode 9.
One more episode left,
Yes,
it's been a journey for sure. So this week we're going to be talking about transparency and living in your truth, all that jazz. So let's just recap first, and then I'll get into like our affirmation in the episode, of course. But last week we spoke about goal setting, routines, what works for us, what might work in creating routines, just like tips and tricks, I guess you can say.
Intentional goal setting.
Yes.
I think that's the key word. We spoke about goal setting with intention, kind of how it works for us. And our show is not a monolith, so this is not a one size fits all.
Take what you want, leave what you don't, and don't be complaining just because it don't relate to you. If it don't relate, throw it away. It is what it is. Not everything is for you, and that is okay.
Yes. So, like I said, last week's episode I thought was a pretty good one, especially because that's kind of been the theme of I would say the whole first season really was kind of built around goal setting. Consistency has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
And
I feel like this season was more like me trying to not force myself, but like get into the groove of things and kind of explain what I'm going through in life right now. Like, all these episodes aren't just random. These are things that, like, of course we brainstormed these ideas and we had a running list of stuff, but they were picked intentionally. Like,
yep.
We're going through these transitions as we speak about them. So that's why we say it. This is not for advice. This is just saying, like, here's some things that worked. Here's some things that didn't work. Here's some things we didn't try that might work. And we want you all to, like, engage with us and let us know, like, hey, you didn't talk about this. This is what works for me. Or, like, I tried that. That shit was whack. I'm not doing that no more. Like, so, like, those are the conversations we're trying to start up with these episodes.
Encourage communication and conversation. I feel like that's our main goal and focus. I would say to educate, but is it really educating? It's kind of like we're just here.
We're sharing our knowledge.
Sharing our knowledge, sharing our experiences.
Yeah. And just sharing, like, overall ideas. Like, if you know me personally, you know that I'm somebody that I'm consistently learning something new, and I, like, hyper focus on things sometimes, and I become obsessive with them, and I never find myself on the right track or, like, on one linear, like, path. And I think this podcast alone, not to make this like a final hurrah, because it kind of sounds like that's what we're doing right now.
No, it's not.
But, like, just trying to connect the two episodes and just let you all know, like, this is just us explaining our lives and hoping to create an open dialogue and discussion with everybody. So I hope when I'm posting these episodes on Instagram or on the blog or on Twitter, I'm creating some type of open dialogue and a safe space for us all to communicate about the struggles that we're going through, to be transparent in how we're feeling, and to just live in our own truth.
Yes. Oh, look at you. Segue mommy.
And I did that by accident. I didn't even plan that.
I was literally sitting here going, oh, I'm going to segue this real nice. And then here you go. Transparency.
Yeah, but...
Transparency. So, not to cut you off, but that's the purpose of this episode, and I think that's kind of why we kind of went into our little mini soapbox, is that transparency. It's a big thing. It has a lot. It has a lot to do with what we plan on doing moving forward. Like, we want to be able to maintain a level of transparency. What does transparency looks like?
And
like,
having boundaries in being transparent.
Yep. Because you could be like, hey, I'm mad transparent, but do you need to be that transparent?
Yeah, like, I don't get me started on work. I'll be like, I don't need to know all of that. Like, But let's get into the affirmation, and then I'm going to briefly explain what the real definition of DK real definition of transparency is, and then we'll go into what we think being transparent is. So this week the affirmation is, every day I strive to do my best. That's the motto of the year. That's the motto of the life. That is the theme of life. Every day you strive to do your best. What's best for you? What's within your capability? What's in your scope? What's in your values, your mission, whatever you want to call it. Every day you strive to do your best.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that one. So what's the definition? What's the real definition of this transparency? Because we're talking about striving to be your best.
Yeah, when we talking transparent, we're not talking about clear nail polish. We're not talking about see-through. But in a way we are. It kind of goes, that's one of those weird things that the color, which is not really a color, but it is, matches the definition of the word. So transparency kind of implies open communication, openness in general, holding yourself accountable, and how would Google say it, as being well-rounded. And to me, at least, let me not speak for Shane, but for me, transparency is just living in your truth, doing things that you want to do, that works for you. If it doesn't work for you, you're very honest and saying, hey, thank you for this feedback, but that doesn't work for me. Can we try another way, or can I try my own way? Doing things that you're comfortable with, even taking risk within a scope of what works for you. So when I think of being transparent, I think of kind of not what is it, my cup running over, not just spilling all the shit that I want to say and do and all that stuff, but giving somebody a sense of, hey, she's open and she's explaining everything she wants, needs, and desires. There's no room for misinterpretation.
Yeah.
I was blunt. I told you what it is. I set my boundaries, and how can we move forward from here? And I feel that's, for me, being as transparent as possible can also make life a little easier. It's never going to be easy because you have to deal with other people, but for yourself, at least, you put yourself out there and you were honest, and whatever works is going to work. And if it doesn't work, you have to hold yourself accountable in the end.
And I mean, I kind of view transparency. I have a weird take on transparency because I strive to be transparent. I feel like when people aren't transparent, or when situations or events or whatever you may call it may not be as transparent.
Thinking of examples,
it gives you it's just, you're opening up such a easy access for confusion, for like you said, misinterpretation, for things to get misconstrued. That can lead to frustration, especially if you're doing team-oriented tasks and projects and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that.
So that's what I said. So I define transparency, me personally, define transparency as, I like implying openness, but I just think it's being willing to be open with information. I think it's a willingness. I think that's the word I'm looking for. A willingness to be open with how you deliver information, or how you deliver a being or what,
instruction, for everything, not just how you present yourself. I could see how mine was more self-focused, where yours is the general scope of.
No, I say that just because I figure we're gonna get more into how it implies more to us, but I'm just saying in terms of a general view of it, you can sit here and go, oh God, people not being transparent.
You're not telling me the meat of it.
Yeah.
Was it your butter?
Oh, don't butter me up.
Yeah,
I don't like to be buttered up.
Don't walk around in circles.
I'm not toast. Don't butter me up. I'm not toast. That's my saying. Be real with me. And that can go into the concept of having a whole dialogue about what being real and being honest,
truth and all of that is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like the fact that we decided to title this "Living in Your Truth," because I think that just directly coincides with what being a transparent individual is. And yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so like you said, living in your truth. So what does living in your truth really look like, and what does it mean? Because for me personally, I don't know, to be honest and transparent, I don't know what my truth is yet. I'm still trying to find that. And that's the point of me making this podcast. That's the point of me having like different connections and networking and experiences, different experiences, because I'm trying to find what my truth is, what my, it's kind of like finding like the niche of my life. So for me, living in my truth means like I'm doing things that add value to the person that I want to become and stay for the rest of my life. So if that means like, oh, I want a job, I want to work at 9 to 5, and I want a cookie cutter life, and I want to live in a like a nice neighborhood and blah blah blah. That's the truth. Like some people might say it as like, oh, that's just like you dreaming of like a dream world, or like, you know, but that's just me wanting to build my life around where I want to eventually be. So that's me living in my truth, and that comes with a set of values, and it's just finding what is valuable to you. And I feel like because like we spoke about multiple times, social media and all of those things, we kind of think that we got to care about everything or talk about everything or have views on everything, and it's okay to not know or have a viewpoint on something. Yep. And I'm struggling with that personally, and that's why I wanted to have this conversation about like finding your truth and being transparent, because in all transparency, sometimes y'all be talking about stuff and I get heated and I'd be like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm like, why am I so mad? I don't care. And it is what it is. And that's because that just does not align with the values or like the life I want to live. But that does not mean that what you are saying is not of importance. It just means that it's more important to you than it is to me.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I mean, even to give another example, like we as a company, we have to sit down and talk to, you know, people a lot of times, especially me being in school and having to kind of like navigate the level of I don't even want to say important people, because I feel like everybody's important, but people that
I hope that didn't pick it up.
It did.
Edit that out.
Yeah, but I say it like the level of people that are more geared towards what I want to do and stuff like that, and you have to hold that transparency, especially if you want to be someone like a CEO and or someone in a position of leadership. You're gonna have a whole bunch of people looking at you for guidance and looking at you for direction and instruction. So what does that level of transparency look like? Because I know for a fact that I've had millions of qualms with superiors and whatnot. Ooh. About the fact that they just can't refute, they can't or they won't be transparent about what's going on.
Yeah, and especially, they beat around the bush and they leave details out that can make a big difference, or like something that you could actually help with if you just knew what was going on.
And we come from a social work background, so we already know, like,
yo, just tell me what's going on.
In the spirit of transparency, no one's telling you what's going on.
But you gotta figure it out. But everybody knows. They just want you to figure it out.
Everybody
and that's just
knows
like
the
parenting.
Answer.
Like, parents think we're born and we just be knowing stuff. Like, you're not supposed to do this. You're getting in trouble for stuff. And it's like, but how am I supposed to know that I'm not supposed to do that? Like, you got to tell me. Don't make everything a life lesson. Mm-hmm. Not everything needs to be a freaking life lesson.
True. Even that, like, parents understanding that they have to be somewhat transparent with their kids. You know, and we'll talk about boundaries and stuff like that you have to have. Of course, you don't go around just, my life is an open book. I'll tell you everything. No, that's not what we're saying here. We're saying like
you don't need to know like your parents' details and stuff.
I'm saying if there's a way to get this task done efficiently, any task, don't gatekeep me.
Gatekeep the information.
Yeah, don't gatekeep me. Be transparent, because I need to figure this out, and if I can figure this out, you know, by easier, and that's a cultural thing as well. It can get cultural, it can get generational and whatnot. But when we're talking about transparency, man, it's such a. I feel like we could really try to really give it a solid structure, but it's so many different avenues you can take this.
So like when you think about transparency and like you said, like there's so many ways to do it. When do you think it's like being transparent or like borderline crossing a boundary or like oversharing? Because if you know me, I freaking overshare like there's no tomorrow. But there's situations that I've been placed in because we got some in our little living situation. But like there's situations where somebody would overshare and cross a boundary that I'm uncomfortable with, and I shut down and I'm like, oh, this is where I know I need to shut up. I need to not say anything, like, because now we're crossing a boundary where it's like, I don't really know you like that. You don't really know me like that. And you're just giving me too much.
Yeah.
And now I'm I'm building a judgment against you now, which is not good. But I'm like judging you now because I'm like, you don't know me like that. So when do you think it's like it's too transparent? Like, where's borderline oversharing? Like for me, it's just like unnecessary information. Like what I'm trying to think of a prime example, but there's so many. And like I don't want to call nobody out, but I'll give fake names. So I interacted with somebody. We're gonna call this person Kenneth. And I'm coming in from walking our dogs, and Kenneth stops me and tells me like, hey, like, new around. I just want to get to know you, blah, blah, blah. I'm from here. I ain't pay my rent. This person don't like me, this body, and this is what's going on in my family. And I'm sitting there like, yo, it's mad cold. Like, I'm trying to go inside. My dogs is like going, if you know our dogs, like they all over the place. And Shane is not home at this point. So like the fact that Kenneth stopped me and I'm alone with my two animals that are not great guard animals is sitting here telling me a little too much information about their lives and their like relationships. I'm like, I feel like you crossed the boundary to the point where now I'm uncomfortable and I'm dodging you every time I see you. Like that's where the transparency gets too far. Now, if it was just basic information about the neighborhood and how people like intermingle, sure. But I don't need to know what's going on in your freaking household. Like I hear it anyway, but like I kind of just gave some stuff away. What was the point of the name? But you get it. Hopefully by the time this episode comes out, we somewhere else. But
anyway,
he can edit that out.
I get your point.
Yeah.
I feel as though it becomes an issue when I would say when boundaries, I feel like if you establish the boundaries from early, and sometimes like with your specific scenario, it's not like you could, but I'm saying like if you can establish your boundaries, if you can, that's fine. But even I don't feel like establishing your boundaries is something that you have to do like at the very first interaction, although it would be ideal.
Yeah, but you also don't know that you will be put in that type of situation. You know what I mean? Like if you're at work, you don't expect somebody to cross your boundary because you're at work. This is a professional work environment. But I guess it's more of assuming that somebody will.
I feel like that's more of an assumption because I feel like people are gonna cross your boundaries regardless.
That's true.
Like they'll cross it if you, like they say, if you give them an inch, you take a mile. Like you
I got examples of that too.
Exactly. So it's like if you give people only do what you allow. Is the reason why.
To an extent. Let's say to an extent. Because there are extreme situations.
There is,
yes.
Yeah. So not to generalize it, but I'll say most people do what you allow. Especially when it comes to relationships, but even like in relationships more so in a broad spectrum, like friendships and relationships with your boss, like boss to employee relationships and stuff like that. So you're going to have people that, like if your boss tells you, oh, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me?
You know you don't
and
want
you
to.
like, you know you don't want to do that, and nor is it in your necessary pay grade to do it. And you do it.
Yep,
which you're going to ask you over and over and over again to do it. And then if you come out your face and they like, why you acting like that? You ain't never act like this before. And so I feel like if you can establish those boundaries, those are early. But once, like in terms of oversharing or like getting to a point where it's like, all right, you a little too transparent. I feel like those in those scenarios is like, okay, what's the difference between transparency and oversharing? We're gonna go transparency. All right, this is something that has to do with a task or something that's specific to a certain thing. Even if it's like, all right, me and you are in a relationship, we have to be transparent about almost basically everything because we live with each other. But it's like it's certain things. It's like, all right, what is oversharing? All right,
I overshare with Shane a lot.
this is true. This is true. I know your bathroom schedule pretty
but
openly.
To me, that would be me being transparent, and this is what my body's going through in case some shit go wrong. Like, if anybody know I'm an extremist, I think the extreme.
Yeah, but we have that understanding.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, say for instance, you're in a relationship.
My boss's bathroom schedule.
Say for instance, you're in a relationship, and we've been together for almost 8 years. But say for instance, you go in a relationship, and I don't feel comfortable talking about my medical history or like what's going on with my body and whatnot. And it's like, is it like, okay, you can overshare, but what if I'm not comfortable doing that? What does that transparency look like for me? My transparency is gonna be like, okay, something is going on with me, and I'm asking you to respect that. That's me being transparent with you without necessarily oversharing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but see, this is me politely saying, in a relationship, a domestic one at that, I feel like we as a couple should be at an understanding where I should know your medical situation because we do plan to get married, have kids, and that shit is important. But I feel like if this was you saying this to your coworker and say you're calling out often and blah blah blah, and they're like, yo, what's going on? And you want to be like, oh, like something's just going on with me, like medically, I don't really want to discuss it, that would be fine. And then once they start acting like, oh, yo, like, I see you've been going to the bathroom, is it your bladder, is your, like, that's crossing a boundary, and you're expecting me to share something with you when I don't have to. Like,
you don't.
So I feel like that example works better for a coworker, because I do feel like that type of transparency, for as long as you've been with the person, that should be something that you should feel a little bit more comfortable talking about. But obviously you're not going to feel comfortable talking about something like that right away. But when it comes to my coworkers, you don't need to know why I be going to the bathroom all the time. Like, you don't need to know like why I got an alarm to take my blood pressure or something like that. You know what I mean? And I feel like that it's just one of those like workplace or what, like if y'all are friends, of course, but if y'all are just coworkers, no.
Yeah. I mean, it could be tough.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's a situational thing for sure.
It is a situational thing, but when you asking for, and I say that not to go back to my example, but I'm saying when you asking for transparency, like if I had something going on and you was like, yo, I need to know what the hell is going on with you, because we're together, and like you said, we have plans on getting married and this, that, and the third. We plan on having kids, so I need you to be transparent with me about that. And I'm like, something's going on. What is the correct way, or what do you think is like the correct way to approach that kind of situation?
Oh, like something like I just found out something was going on and I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, not at least like not yet. Like okay. It's like.
I guess that also depends. For us, I think you just telling me, like, oh, something's going on, I'm not really sure yet, I want to go to the doctor first because I don't want to, like, freak you out, because, one, I'm dramatic. And, like, I get, like, anxious and stuff. So you telling me, like, I want to make sure what I think it is correct first before I let you know, because I don't want you to become, like, overwhelmed or anything like that. But, like, say we only been dating for a couple of months, that ain't none of my fucking business.
Very true.
I shouldn't even know you're going through anything. Like,
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't tell you that if we were
like,
for a couple of months.
For you to be like, yo, I got irritable bowel syndrome and we 2 months, and I'm like, boy, okay. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it's a time thing, comfortability, and like the type of person, because
I also think it has something to do with a level of awareness.
Yeah.
Like not only your own self-awareness, but your awareness for the person you're being transparent with, whether it's your boss. If you know your boss is like a freaking blowhard, or he or she or they be ODing, and you be like, all right,
I'm not telling them nothing. Like, like I've been lucky with bosses that, knock on wood, but I've been lucky with bosses where I can be very transparent to the point where I could really be like,
not me though.
Like, I'm not coming in today because I'm in a bad mood. I got cramps, something like that. And they'll be like, okay. But if I were to say that in my current environment, I feel like they'll be like, 1, why are you telling me all of this? 2, get your ass to work. 3, we don't care. So it just, like you said, it depends.
But in a way, that's also being transparent. Like, telling me that you don't care that I am struggling. Like, it's not great.
It's trash.
It's not great transparency. Like, it's definitely
but like now you know they don't give a fuck.
Exactly. But that's my point. I like that point right there. Like, now you know they don't give a fuck. Like transparency can be good, and it can also be really shitty. Like, but
it sheds light on a lot of situations.
As long as you know where we are.
Yeah.
Like, I hate being in a state of like,
I don't know.
Will they, won't they?
Yeah,
like, I hate that. Don't do that to me. Like, I don't want to know if this is something that you tolerate, if this is something that you don't tolerate. That's why I think that like establishing those boundaries is so important, because it's like, all right, I know my boss, like, he's going to tell me, yo, I don't give a shit. I told you this had to be done at 12 o'clock. Like, and you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
versus like a boss that's like, you know.
And then he gets tight when I don't have it done at 12 o'clock. That's what I'm saying. Like, lack of a better term, like sometimes some people it's what you do, what you allow. If your boss allows you to do certain things and establishes a rapport of you doing certain things, and then you decide one day, oh, I'm not going to do this.
You decide to cross that boundary.
Yeah. Now you can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
Now you can't be mad.
You know that they be spazzing. So like, okay, so when it comes to being like transparent, who do you find yourself being more transparent with, and do you kind of like weigh the benefit and the risk of being transparent with them, with that specific person?
Well, I'm most transparent with you, obviously.
I don't think I should count.
All right, so if we're not counting you, I would say, I mean, did we count my mom?
No.
I
guess you can, because some people aren't as transparent with their parents. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm most transparent with my mother, my sister. Yeah, I would say like it would just be you three for the most part are the people that I'm most transparent with, and then there's like tiers, of course. Like, I'm running a company, so I have to be transparent with my partners as well. So like those are people that I definitely have to at least keep in the loop of my day-to-day activities. I'm transparent with my clients. I'm transparent with my professors, definitely, because I feel like that's important. Like, I'm gonna tell you if I'm struggling, because if I don't tell you I'm struggling, I'm a fail.
Yeah. So when it comes to like your family, for instance, because I'm gonna obviously talk about it too, what is the benefit of being transparent with them, and when did you notice like there was like, I shouldn't have said shit because they drag it in now?
It's a trial and error. I would say that it's a trial and error.
Yeah.
One thing I say is that my mother probably knows me better than anybody on this planet. But there's been some times where I'll be like, damn, I shouldn't have told you that. And that comes with learning people. I would say that it comes with learning people. Some people think that, like, my mother's famous line is that she knows me better than I know myself. I don't believe that's all the truth. I think I know myself pretty best. But I will say she's probably a close second. And me to her as well. I feel like I might know her maybe the second best ever than anybody on this planet. So me knowing her the second best is understanding like, yo, there's certain boundaries you have to have when you're dealing with certain people, and especially with family. So like, some people are very open, I guess, with what they tell their parents. I'm that way too, but I'm not out there like telling every.
Yeah, like my point would be like basically the complete opposite of yours. So yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, I'm not gonna be out there telling her everything, but I have to be transparent with her because I feel as though, as somebody who knows me that well, like in terms of like from when I was a child and seeing me grow up, she's gonna be able to give me the best feedback on what I'm asking, if that makes sense. So like if I'm struggling with something, if I'm struggling with and I'm mainly transparent with her when it comes to like advice and asking for like I don't life direction in a way, but but I'm very particular with things that I take from her because we experience two different types of lives and two different types of errors. So, but like she knows me the best so that she knows like, all right, cool. I am going to react this way to that. Like we just had a conversation about how I would react to people like lying to me and like lying to me. It's not something that works for me because that's a trigger for me. Because my dad was a liar and he lied to me a lot. So it's like her knowing that and me being able to have that level of that relationship with her and that level of transparency with her, like, okay, cool. I'm struggling with this thing where someone lied to me and it's like, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? So with her, it's more so like I'm seeking advice, so I have to be transparent with that. Yeah. Like when it comes to my boss, like I'm seeking instruction. Yeah. So I need to be transparent about what I don't know or what, like if I don't know how to do this, I'm gonna tell you I have no clue. Like I don't find any like merit in like I like to figure things out. I'm a big figure things out. I'm a problem solver. I like to problem solve. But I need to be transparent. Like, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I'm gonna find out. Yeah. And sometimes it works for me. Sometimes it's like, maybe you should just lie and be like, yo, I'll figure it out, YouTube and all that. But sometimes you got to sit there and go, okay, what is there something that I could go and not ask my boss about? Or what is there something that I can go and figure out on my own? Or that I need his assistance? Because if I go and I press the red button, and the whole studio go, kapow, he's going to look at me like, motherfucker, why you ain't saying nothing?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like my experiences are similar, but very, very different. So like when it comes to who I'm transparent with, I find myself more transparent with people that I'm in non-familiar, familial, what is it?
Familial.
Familial. Whatever, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Relationships with, so that being like Shane, my best friends like Jade, Jimena, like those people I grew up with, because there was never a time that I had to put any face on, and that's a problem that I mask a lot, and I like adapt and blend in a lot. So they're the main people I've never had to like switch up on. Like, I had to put like some type of mask on for. So those are the people I'm mostly comfortable with explaining things to. I would say I have a level of transparency with my mother, but because I know her, I don't say a lot of shit. Just because I already know what she's going to say or how she might interpret it. And it's for certain people, their interpretation is just their interpretation, and you cannot change that no matter what your intent was. And I've gotten to the point where I am completely fine with that. It is what it is. I just know that this specific thing I have to go to somebody else for, and that there's no problem with that. If she's listening and she has a problem with that, I'm sorry, but there's nothing to have a problem about that about. It's completely normal.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to do because I think that I have a level of transparency with my friends as well. I just think that
we have different friends.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like with my friends, we don't necessarily have an issue with being transparent. Like we just tell anything. We'll tell you anything really. Like if shit is going wrong, like yo, this shit is going wrong. Now I will say this: sometimes my friends don't be giving me the whole story. Yeah, I'd say that.
But I feel like my friends, I get too much of the story. But I'm fine with that because that's the relationship we have. Like I you hear my FaceTime calls and my voice notes. Like I know to the T. Like what's going on in my friends' lives, and for the most part, they know the same about me as well.
Yeah, but I feel like I try to be somebody that you can have those conversations with, like as a friend. Like, all right, if shit is going left, like, all right, we sit here, we jokey and do all this, that, and the third. But if shit is going shit is going wrong, you could reach out. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Like sometimes
they're not receptive.
Yeah, sometimes people are just not receptive to that. Sometimes people are like, yo,
I'm tired of hearing you just preach to me.
Yeah. Oh, niggas hate when I preach to them.
But it's like, if you're going to keep telling me the same thing over and over again, I'm going to have to set that boundary and be like, yo,
yeah,
you telling me the shit?
True.
I'm tired of hearing you complain about this. It's either you do this, that, and the third, or shut the fuck up.
Oh, and also...
And that's being transparent,
that's
too.
being transparent, but also being transparent is, yo, Guru Ham, yo, stop fucking preaching to me, bro.
I
like,
say that to Shane all the time. I'm like, shut up.
I don't want to hear that. Like, honestly and truly, I don't want to hear that. This is my path. This is my workaround. I'm living in my truth.
Yep.
Look at that. I'm living in my truth, and I'll figure this shit out the way I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Respectfully. And you know what I'm gonna say to that? Yo, that's some real shit right there.
But for me, I want you to be like, tell me that's what you want. Because, if your friend calls you up, you thinking they calling for your help. But it's like, tell me like, yo, I ain't calling for all your preachy shit.
Yeah.
I'm calling an event real quick. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
just let me get my shit off.
Yeah, I'm like, fine. Oh, okay.
That's fine too. Because sometimes I gotta call people just get my shit off.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I like that. I like that a lot.
So like, as you already hear all these perspectives we had, but I kind of want to focus a little more on the living in your truth part, because we talked mostly about transparency, which deals with living in your truth. But living in your truth, like, would you say right now, in your current being, at this time, you feel like you are closer to living in the truth that you want to live, or do you feel like you're in it, but you're like still trying to figure it out? Because I did touch upon me, like, I don't know really what my truth is yet, but I have an idea.
Oh, I'm definitely living in my truth, thoroughly and truly. I would not say I was doing that last year. I would not say I was doing that 2 years ago. Maybe a little bit last year definitely. But like, I would say, so what I define as living in my truth is doing what I want to do, when I want to do it. Yeah. So no, I'm not to the point where I'm just do whatever I want to do, but I'm definitely in the process of getting there, and I'm definitely on the right path, I would say. Like, if you guys don't know, I have a 5-year plan to go live on a remote island somewhere and check in quarterly check-ins, which I fly and go places and meet my team, and they say, "Oh, everything good? I'm good. All right, cool. I'm going back to my island." That's my plan.
It's a Black Mirror episode like that.
It might be. It might be. But
I think it was Black Mirror.
So I say that jokingly, but in a sense, I do want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So in terms of like when I say living in my truth, like, I want to be able to run the country, do what I want to do. So
not be president.
Not president.
I'm like, what?
No, like, I'm sorry, I'm using my
run around the country.
Using my dialect, my vernacular. I would love to, travel the country and whatnot.
I'm like, I ain't want to be no first lady.
But I'm doing what I want to do. I'm running my company. I'm figuring out the kinks, and figuring out how to be a better entrepreneur day by day, getting more organized. I'm now G Sweet Poppy. This is not an ad, but
one day maybe.
But I'm saying, like, I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm being very, very deliberate in what I want to do. I told myself when I quit my job August of 2020 that I would not work a job I never wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Unless you really, really had to.
Unless I really, really had to. And I would say it's been 18 months and I have not worked a job I did not want to do yet. And 18 months may sound like a short time in our entrepreneur land, but that's a big step for me, because I had to figure out how to support myself for 18 months while I supported my dream. And that even gave me a better perspective, like, might have to go back to work and get a better job to get to the next step. But I put myself in a predicament by going back to school that I don't have to work a job in a field that's not mine, which is audio, which is what I love to do. So when I say I'm living in my truth, I'm saying I'm doing what I want to do. And I'm getting to where I need to be.
One day I'll be able to articulate my truth. As of right now, I'm fine working like we did in the 9 to 5 episode. I'm fine working 9 to 5 because I do believe in a steady income, and now I get paid weekly. So that's amazing,
guys. I will tell you, Kash's problem is that she has a lot of things that she's really good at.
He says I'm good at them.
She knows how to hyper focus really well. And
nothing keeps my attention span.
I would say that I think you're living in your truth, for lack of a better term. You're doing what you want to do.
Am I though?
You are. You are. Are you not?
I don't know. That's the problem.
So I would say that it's more so you it's more you defining what your truth looks like. And kind of mapping.
I feel like I got like my toes and everything, but I'm that person that envies people that has that. Like I envy that music is your thing. Like being an entrepreneur is your thing. I don't have one thing. I'm good at multiple things, but I want them all to be one thing. You know what I mean?
But the funny thing is that you really can make all of them one thing.
Yeah, but I don't know how.
I think that I think that you are having issues defining what the sum of your things are.
I guess there's just too many things.
And I think that's very cool. I think that's very cool that you
I'm
have
too
multifaceted. And you get practical gifts. But I'm saying, like, you have the capacity to do a lot of things well. Like, guys, I'm not good at Photoshop. I want you to know I first picked up Photoshop when I was 14 years old. I am now 29 years old. And I am still no better at Photoshop than I am when I first saw Photoshop. And I've tried multiple times. Kash has picked up Photoshop in like 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, but I'm not good.
Yeah, but
you're just make basic stuff.
Yeah, but you can say you're not good. Good and great. Those are perception words. Like,
well, for my standard, I ain't good.
Not yet.
I want to be making
yet
animated short films.
And you'll get there. And you'll get there. Trust me, you'll get there. You're too good at just being organized and being like somebody who can put an idea on paper and it makes sense. And when it doesn't make sense, you go, it doesn't make sense. So of course I always tell you not to be so hard on yourself because you'll figure it out. You're not old, and even if you are old, guys, you can figure it out because I done seen people pick up Photoshop and Premiere and all these programs at a later age, or pick up any type of skill at a later age. But you have the drive, and that is something that a lot of people don't have. Like me personally, I taught myself, guys, how to audio engineer, and it took me, I would say, maybe 3 to 4 years to really figure out what everything meant. I am 1,000,000% confident that if Kiana wanted to learn how to audio engineer, which she has told me she would, she does, she can pick everything up I learned in 4 years in about 6 months.
He's just hyping me up.
I'm not hyping you up. I'm being real. I'm making a thorough assessment, not even as my girlfriend because I love you, but as somebody who is a CEO and would be looking at people like in terms of like talent, like a talented
I think
person.
My problem is everything be boring. Oh my God. Like, so it's like I'll learn how to do something and I'm just like, I don't want to do it anymore. This is boring. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I were to sit and watch you edit stuff, which I do for the most part, I'm just like, I want to learn how to do this, but it's boring. So nothing keeps my attention span. And that's why it's hard for me to find what my truth is, because I want something to not only challenge me, but to also not make me feel bored. Like, just
this is a patient job, by the way, audio engineering.
Yeah, but and I also don't have patience. Well, it's not that I don't have patience. It has to be a specific thing that I'm interested in to be patient with.
I agree with that because some people can't sit in a mixing session. Like I deal with artists all the time, and then you got to sit there for an hour and mix the song, and they sitting there
I be in
moving
the
back
studio
and
with
forth,
Shane sometimes.
back
I'm like,
and forth.
bro, take me home. Buy me some food or something.
You done heard the same song 4 million times
I'm
back
like,
and
how
back.
many times he gonna do this song?
Same part over and over.
The ad-libs, when they gotta do that over.
But because I thoroughly like audio, I don't even recognize it. Like sometimes I look at my phone, that's like, all right, it's 2:00.
I'm like, we've been here for 8 hours.
It's 2:00, and then I look back at my phone, I'm like, oh, it's 3:30. Damn, when the hour
you see
happened.
me sleeping on the couch or something.
So I think that is, in terms of like finding things that you really like to do, like you like to do a lot of things. Like I said, I think it's just defining it, because I think that if it's bits and pieces of things that you like to do and you can define that as something, I think that'll help you figure out like what that looks like, because it's so many things. It's like, all right, you can do this, and this, and this. All right, what does that look like? That's why I told you need to. I see entrepreneur in your future.
This is so much work, and that's the thing. But that's lazy.
The problem. You say it's so much work, but you're a busy bee. You need to have hands busy, because then if it's not hard or challenging, you'll just do it and be like, all right, whatever. I'm not.
I legit could finish my whole week's worth of work Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. and the whole week is just me sitting there bored. I'm like, send me home. And that's, I don't know, like I just hate that I'm fine with working a 9 to 5, and that all the 9 to 5 stuff is like easy, and it's like people complain about stuff, and I'm like, I'm complaining because I'm bored. Y'all complaining because y'all think this is hard. Like I've had people give me 5, 6, 7, 8 steps to do something I could do in 2, and I'm like, why are y'all taking the long route? Just click, click, bye. Like, you know what I mean? So
that's why I told you the other day that your future is in management.
Yeah, but even that, I don't like niggas. Like,
your future, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough, but I noticed some things. I'm like, yo, your future might be in management.
I'm fine with critiquing, but I just don't like telling people what to do.
You do have a strange dynamic in which you don't mind critiquing something, but it's like you be feeling.
I don't want to be responsible. I'll critique it, but don't hold me responsible.
Don't hold me accountable for my critique.
Like if it works, woo. If it don't, dang. Like
tough.
I don't really care. Like I told Shane, I'm fine being. I know a lot of people will find this weird, but I'm fine being like basically the ghostwriter for somebody else's success. I don't care about people hyping me up. I don't care about the recognition or all that stuff. If you just tell me I'm doing a good job and I'm getting paid, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about that is that when you're dealing with like an artist team or like companies and stuff like that, you guys, like what you just described is legitimately the engine. Like the people that don't want the credit,
that's me.
They just
me
want
the heart of the operation.
But I wouldn't say the credit, because you want the credit. But
I want the bread.
The people that don't want the like the overall recognition.
I want to be known for like being good at what I do.
Yeah.
But I don't care if I'm in like Times Magazine and Vogue, and I don't care about that.
The funny shit is that that's the mindset of people. Those are the mindset of the people that end up in. Well, majority of them is like I say this. All my professors, I told them like, yo, I have an issue with you guys literally being like too nonchalant about your success. Like I have a big issue with it, and I don't really have an issue with it. I just think it's mad funny. It's like, okay, you can be humble and humility is important, but you gotta still like let the streets know, like, all right, I can do this, and I do this well, and I've done this well for a while, or I'm doing this well for a while. So just keeping that into perspective is like you living your own truth. You living your truth is you figuring out, yo, what that truth is.
Yeah.
You gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
And the streets want you to as well, because you talking like you want to make somebody else rich by making you rich. And that is
like
ideal.
And then it's like fake. I want to be richer than the person that I made rich.
You just want them to
be just a surrogate.
They could be the face.
Yeah.
They could be the face.
Like, you know how people authors write books under like different names?
Yeah.
Like I want to be that person. Like this is my pen name. just give me the bread. Like, I don't care about all that stuff. I don't want to interact with people. And it's funny because people love interacting with me.
They do.
But I'm just so drained. Like, I will have a conversation with somebody. I'll be like, yo, I need a nap. Like, I can't do this anymore. And then that's me with things in life. I just get really tired and drained because I give my all into something and then I have nothing left, which is a blessing and a curse. But
I love that.
That's enough of my rant. It was a little rant because we definitely were wrapping it up and then we started ranting.
That's the beauty of the podcast.
Yeah.
Though.
So I'll hit you guys with, the affirmation again. And it is, every day I strive to do my best. And after that rant, I'm going to have to tell myself a little more of that. I'm going to say it in the mirror. I'm going to write it down.
I'm just going to say the great Ash Ketchum once said, I want to be the very best.
Oh, my goodness.
That no one ever was.
Anyway.
Dun, dun, dun.
Let's stop it there. Follow me at Noel Souls Heal on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter at _cash talk _
Yes.
And then check out my website at noelsoulsheal.com.
Yes. And you can follow me everywhere at Frostmon Guru and follow the network everywhere at Smooth Family ENT. Thank you guys so much once again for tuning in. I believe next week will be the final episode of the season.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. And, we'll be announcing some things as well, hopefully. But thank you guys once again. And
we're off.
To see the wizard.
Oh my God.
Bye, guys.